Why does it seem that being a youth pastor is like kind of the entry level into
Sure.
ministry? Because to me, when I first think about it, I mean, you're dealing with the next generation of believers. You're dealing with the
Yeah.
next generation of people,
Mm-hmm.
and that are going to be representing Christ to the world,
Yeah.
technically.
Yeah.
You know, so some people can kind of see that as like, it's it's not that big of a deal.
Sure.
But to me, I'm like, that's a huge deal. If anything,
Yeah.
that's by far probably one of the most important positions.
Yeah.
So why do you think um, people may see that or kind of
Yeah. I'm pulling up a
have that
statistic.
have that type of view on it? Because I definitely think that it's immensely important.
Yeah. Yeah. So, no, I agree. I think, and I'm not trying to say like me, I'm the most important person, but I think youth ministry and kids ministry is the most important thing in the church. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why I love North Church, because I think this church and our pastor, Pastor Rodney and Pastor Shannon, like they believe that 100%. Like our leadership believes that, and the culture of our church believes that. Like every church you go to, they're going to say something in their standard of like, we invest the best in the next generation, something
Yeah.
along those lines. We
Mm-hmm.
believe in the next generation, blah, blah, blah. They're the church of today, not tomorrow. But then they don't do it. Like they don't put
Mm-hmm.
their resources there. They don't put their best people there. They don't do these things. But this is why it matters. And this is why like that whole thing, because that is 100% true, that people see being a youth pastor as like the floor level position and as a stepping stone to become a lead pastor
Yeah.
or whatever people want to be. But here's why it shouldn't be that way. According to Barna, 94% of Christians choose to follow Jesus before the age of 18. I'm going to read it again because it's freaking crazy. According to Barna Research, which is super legit, super trusted, 94% of Christians choose to follow Jesus before the age of 18. That's why student ministry and kids ministry and even preschool ministry is so important, because people, 94% of Christians are making that decision before the age of 18. So I think the reason that it is seen as an entry level position is because most lead pastors or most executive pastors or whoever it is, senior pastors, boards, congregations, whatever, are treating it as that. They're treating it as like a glorified babysitter that can go in there and take care of the teenagers so the adults can have real church. You know what I mean? And they don't understand that it's literally life or death. And just like it's life or death, like on a Sunday when there's, a 50-year-old guy coming in there that's, choosing whether or not to give up on his family, or there's like a 30-year-old girl coming in there that's, contemplating ending her life. Like it's literally life or death. It's the same thing. And statistically, even more so for us, it's a Wednesday. But when it comes to like youth ministry, and I think the reason that people see it that way is because a lot of pastors, like lead pastors, senior pastors and stuff, treat it as, oh, I just need a warm body. I just need somebody in here. And I think it has been treated as that because a lot of people don't want to do it, because they realize like every job in ministry is hard, just like every job out in the real world is hard. Maybe not every job, but most jobs out in the real world. Not that this isn't the real world, but you know what I mean? The secular world are hard. But being a youth pastor is hard, dude. It's hard. Like you're dealing with crazy stuff. Like you'll be dealing with one kid that wants you to pray for their Fortnite so that they can get a dub on Fortnite, and then the next kid will be like, my mom just died, or like a 12-year-old like, hey, I'm addicted to porn, or like a teenage girl like, hey, I was planning on killing myself tonight, like what do I do? Like literally, like in all the fun and games, like that happens. I won't say any names. I think this is all answering the question. I won't say any names, but there's somebody that's highly involved here at our church, that one time Pastor Christian and I were talking to them, and we weren't like oversharing or anything. They just kind of asked us how North students went the night before. And we were telling them like, hey, like we had this girl who like was trying to kill herself. Like she brought razor blades up to the altar, like during the altar call. I was like, I was going to kill myself tonight. And we're like praying for her. We're contacting her parents. We're like contacting the proper authorities because we have to report those things. And we're like kind of explaining like, yeah, this is what happened last night. Like it was crazy. It was hard. Like be praying for, we didn't tell her who the girl was, but just be praying for this student,
of course.
and
Protect
stuff
the
like
privacy
that.
and stuff.
And then, and the girl who was super involved in ministry, super involved in our church, you would feel like they had a good grasp of what's going on, said, oh my gosh, like I thought you guys just got to play games and have fun all the time. Like I thought that's what youth ministry was. And like I wasn't mad or anything, but I was just like, that's what people think that it is, because that's what people see. Like you don't see all the stuff that's in the trenches. So I think that's why youth ministry and youth pastors is treated like as a floor level position. But I mean, you look at like my story, like only 3 years on staff and then becoming the youth pastor, at the student pastor at North Church, like that's pretty quick. But you look at Pastor Christian, like he was a volunteer youth pastor for 12 years before he got hired to be the student
Wow.
pastor at North Church. Like, and then the only reason that I'm here is because North Church was willing to take a chance on me when they saw potential in me, and I felt called to this when I was 21 years old, and they had no reason really to believe in me because I had only been a serious follower of Jesus for about a year, and they took a chance on me, and because of the development in me, like even though it was only 3 years, like there's been hours and hours and hours and days of time that they've poured into me to get me ready for this position and to get me ready to be a better husband, a better father, a better man. And so it's like, even though it looks quick, it really isn't. But all that to say, that's why I'm so grateful to be a part of this church and to serve under Pastor Rodney's leadership, because he understands that 94% statistic, and he knows how important student ministry is, and he knows how important all parts of ministry are, but specifically that. So yeah, we need to change that stigma around student
Yeah, no,
and
we
that's
do.
why
We do.
there's so much turnover, bro. Like only I think it's like something like the average youth pastor only lasts like a year and a half or something like that in
Wow.
their position.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so like a year and a half. Like that's crazy. That means statistically I would only have about a year to go before I moved on to something else. And it's usually not that they're getting fired. It's usually that they're quitting. Part of it is because
Sheesh.
it's so hard. Part of it is because of compensation.
Yeah, I was just about
Part
to
of it
ask
is
about
because
that.
they want to move up. I don't care about moving up,
Yeah.
but like that's what people want to do. And I think that's also what happens when you get someone into a position doing something that they're not really called to do. Like I'm not
Mm.
called to be a youth pastor, but I am called to be a leader of people. And because of my age and because of the giftings that I have, being a youth pastor fits that calling right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But sometimes when we see people that may be talented, that may be able to do certain things and that are available, we just like throw them into the position when it's not really what they're called to do. And I think that's why we see so much like people crash and
Mm-hmm.
burn.
Dang.
Yeah.